Hey guys, so congratulations on your decision to purchase one of our new W.A.R cruisers. Today we're going to be assembling one of our actually men's satin white Let It Ride cruisers. This is how the box should be arriving to your house. If UPS was gentle with it, let's hope they were, in good condition. We'll start off by first obviously taking off the straps. Any pair of scissors or cutters or snips, whatever you have at your house that work, even a knife, just be careful not to cut yourself. Take off the snaps right there. We spent a lot of time at the factory making sure that the bikes were as assembled as we could get them in the box, and so you could assemble them as quickly as possible, whether you're a consumer putting it together or a bike shop. We wanted to make it easy. The staples in the top hold it very strong, but also come out pretty easy, so just a firm lift on each corner and edge. We'll take that up for you. Hold it down nice, neat there, so it's out of your way. And then in the box, you'll have this big piece of foam right here, which you want to remove. Just keeps your bike nice and secure. We'll get rid of that, throw that to the side. And you'll have also a little box that's inside, which has your pedals and components, which I'll show you in a minute. Also has your assembly manual, owner's manual, and your reflectors. Set that aside for a minute. Got to have that box. Make sure you have that in there. We'll go ahead and take your seat, which your seat's strapped with just about a piece of Velcro. A lot of manufacturers ship your bike with a million different zip ties. It takes you an hour just to get the zip ties off, but we wanted to make it easy for you. So you get your seat nice and secure in there. We'll go ahead and set that aside as well. And then take out your bike. Now again, this is the satin white men's version of the Let It Ride cruisers. Take that out of there, move the box to the side. I'll bring it around to the front here so you can see better. All right, then you want to just go ahead and just lean it up against something so it doesn't fall. And then I always like to first just remove all the packaging. We'll start with the front wheel. Just got these nice little Velcro straps here. They just come off really easy. The build itself should only take you about 15 to 20 minutes, even if you're not that mechanically inclined or don't really put together things that often. It's pretty straightforward and easy. The front wheel has a couple safety caps on your axle nuts to keep your axle nuts there and in the box upon shipping. They just come off you just give it a little tug, comes off like that. And then those are garbage, you can throw those away. The other side, take that cap off. Cardboard just to give it a little bit of protection. With the 3-inch tires, I mean, they're not only a cool looking tire, but there was a method to our madness with not going with the 4-inch, like really fat, making it a super fat tire bike. You know, those super fat tire bikes, any bigger than 3-inch, and you really start just slowing down on pavement. There's a lot of rubber that creates more resistance, and it's just not as great of a ride. Those fat tire bikes really are just for what they're designed for: sand, snow, for riding around your neighborhoods and, you know, really just enjoying a ride. You know, 3-inch, you don't want to really get bigger than that. So we wanted the bikes to not only ride really well, but also look cool, and that's why we decided to go with 3-inch as our fattest tire on it. I think we made the right decision on that one. So anyway, we'll put that aside. I won't talk your ears off. Let's continue to just remove the rest of the packaging. You'll have a little bit of foam. Everything comes off pretty straightforward. It's just quick snap release masking tape. Take off that. Should only take you a couple minutes. We'll go ahead and remove the handlebars that are down here, which are held together with some foam and just a couple more Velcro straps. And there's really a reason why we didn't do the zip ties. Not only does it take a lot longer to remove, but when you're taking off zip ties, you know, you can't just take them off like with a Velcro strap like this. You got to use like a pair of scissors and snips. And anytime you have anything sharp, whether you're using a knife or scissors or snips next to your frame, you take the chance of scratching your frame. And it does happen more times than you think. So we didn't want to have that happen. So we went ahead and just used Velcro straps and makes it much easier with the foam. Comes right off there, no scratches. Let's go ahead and just remove this. And then we'll set these aside for a second while we remove the rest here. The rest of our other parts that we need. All right. On the back of the dropouts, you'll also have some protectors on your axle nuts as well. Again, just to keep the axle nuts on there, protect it. Sometimes in shipping, if those come off, you know, it'll tend to bump against the box a little bit. So we put those on there to give it some additional layer of protection. Go ahead and remove this. A couple more pieces on the front. Now, what I'll do is on the front fork here, this is just a protector. You can throw this out afterwards. I'll keep it in there for just a minute while we assemble the bike. So you can set it like this, and it'll stay nice and steady for you without leaning against something so it doesn't fall over while you're putting it together. And then we'll go ahead and just remove this last piece over here. Oh, actually 2 more here. All right, so that only took us, a couple minutes there. The bike's all ready to be assembled. So you got all your wrapping off. Looks good. Make sure you look over your bike, make sure there's no scratches, and it's in overall good condition, which this looks perfect. So we'll go ahead, we'll start with putting the handlebars on. Now what I'll do is I'll just set them in there for now, make sure everything fits in there good. All right, solid. I won't tighten it just yet. Then I'm gonna go ahead and take the front wheel before I start adjusting the handlebars and make sure that there's an axle nut on each side. Now you wanna make sure, this is a really important piece. Obviously you don't want your front wheel ever falling off, but when you're getting ready to tighten the wheel, which we'll do that next, you're gonna wanna make sure you have this washer on there, which they all come with it, but make sure, double check, you got it there. And that little washer right there locks, and there's just an additional little safety washer to keep your front wheel on nice and tight. But we'll loosen it up so we can put it on the fork on both sides. If for any reason you get, at the factory level, we wanted to make sure these didn't come off. Sometimes they're a little tight. So if for any reason it's just a little too tight and you can't get it loose with your finger, and let's say it's like this and your axle's spinning like that and it's not coming loose, the whole axle spinning, just either get, if you have at home, a pair of either an open-ended wrench that's this size, or a adjustable wrench, or even a set of pliers just so you can hold this side. And then with this side, hold the pliers on the nut on that side, and then just loosen it with your tool. But majority of them you should be able to get finger loose. Just like that. And then we'll go ahead, we'll set that right there. We'll make it easy for you. Just take this black piece. That's just to protect your forks and shipping. We'll set that there. I'll put the kickstand down like this. You guys can assemble it how you'd like. These are the steps that we recommend doing it. Makes it easy. And then we go ahead and we'll put the tire and line it up. These washers go on the outside. So it sits just like that on the center of your fork. So you just want to make sure when you're looking at it, you got about the same room. So we'll go ahead and make sure these washers lock in. Each one of the locking washers goes in the hole right there. We'll tighten that up, just finger tight on one side for now. Same exact thing on the other side. All right, and then we'll just set this. I put the kickstand down just to hold it there for now. So now everything's ready to be assembled. We need the tools to do it now, right? So we're gonna go back to that box we took out in the first place, and we'll open this baby up. It's just got a little bit of tape on it, keeping everything inside. And what you should have in each one of your boxes is 4 little bags. You'll have your pedals that are wrapped up in the little bag type wrapping. Set that aside. You'll have a bag with your reflectors. It has the Phillips screws, rear reflector, front reflector, and reflectors for your wheels. And then you'll have your little tool kit, which is what we need. Unless you have your own tools at home, which you can use if you have a pedal wrench and you have a 15 millimeter for your axle. But if not, stick to the tools right here. It's got everything you need except for a Phillips. It's one thing we couldn't get in the tool kit, so majority of houses have a Phillips screwdriver laying around that you can use to just assemble the reflectors. That's all you need for that. But then it has all, very important, your owner's manual right here. We'll set that aside for now. get out our toolkit. And right now we're just going to use the open-ended wrench to tighten up this front wheel, make sure it's nice and center. Set that aside. It's got two sides on it, 13 and 15. And for the 15, we're not going to tighten down really tight both sides yet. You want to make sure that both sides are just nice and snug before you start tightening it, so you can make sure your center wheel is center, or your front wheel is center. You want to make sure that your tire is center of your fork. You can put your fingers right through there on both sides, making sure it's got the same clearance. That looks good to me. And then we'll go ahead and we'll tighten up each side, making sure that it stays center. Now you want to make sure this is nice and tight. The last thing you ever want to have happen is your front wheel come off. So always triple check that's nice and tight, which it is. Go over to your other side and do the same thing. Every once in a while, you always want to recheck all your bolts, make sure they're still tight after your first ride, second ride. Because even though things most of the time will stay tight, every once in a while things will tend to come a little loose on you. So always make sure that your bolts and axle nuts are tight. That's good, both are tight. We've got the same clearance right there. So then we'll go ahead, we'll set this down for a second and we'll grab the bigger Allen key that's in your kit, which is a 6mm. Take that out right there, and then we'll just go ahead and I like to adjust my bars after this. So what I'll do now that the wheel is center and tight, I like to adjust it to where you can just stand over it and it's just dead center of your tire. Now, it's up to you how you want to adjust the height with your stem. If you're a taller rider, you might want to, bring your stem up. Always make sure that you're never above, and you can see the mark right there. You always have that at least below. You never have it higher than that, because you could take the chance of your stem coming out or potentially bending your stem. So that's the highest you'd want to go. I'm only 5'9", so I'm not going to bring it up that high. I'll bring it down to where it's not all the way down, but a little lower. Adjust it to where the stem is dead center of your tire and your fork. And then I'll make this bolt right here. Take your 6mm right in the center. It's only one bolt, really easy. And as you tighten this down, it expands inside and it'll keep your stem nice and straight, so it's not going anywhere on you. Tighten that down really good, so then your stem's not going anywhere. And then I'll adjust the bars, loosen it up just a little bit, and then bring your bars up like that. Make sure also they're center. There's only one screw in the front. And then it's up to you. Once you get your seat on, you'll be able to really tell. I like doing it without the seat first, because it's just standing over it. I can tell how I want my bars. Some people like them a little bit higher. Some people like them straight at you. I kind of like them like this. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust the handlebars like that. Make sure it's center. Go ahead, tighten that down. You want to make sure it's nice and tight, because the last thing you want to do if you're standing up putting weight on your handlebars, you don't want that coming down on you. So that's nice and tight, good to go. Then I'll just give it one more snug here. Make sure, double check, it's nice and tight. Now that I like the bars like that, tighten that. It's nice and tight, boom. It's not going anywhere. So now let's go ahead. Stem's tight, handlebars are tight, front wheel's tight. That's all set. We'll go ahead and we'll just put the seat on now to make sure riding height, it's good to go. Set our 6mm down. Take the rest of the packaging off your seat. Just comes right off really easy, and the wrapping off of it. There you go. Seat's in good condition. The seat's just a quick release. Open that up. And then you're going to want to adjust your seat to your riding height. Now you don't want to go all the way down with it because it won't tighten all the way. You got to leave enough room, just a little bit, because it tapers off there at the top. So you want to leave enough room so you can put your reflector on, but so you can also tighten it. I like my seat pretty low. So what I'll do is just a little bit above right there. Make sure it's dead center with the top tube so that you're dead center, and then tighten this down. Now, sometimes if your seat is still loose, like see that, I can move it a little bit. So what that means is all you got to do is open your quick release, and there's a little screw on the other side of your quick release, and just tighten that down. Tighten that a little bit more so that when you now apply the quick release, it'll just bring the seat tube tighter, and it'll make a tighter clamp so that seat won't move on you. So tighten it up a little bit more. So where you start getting pressure at halfway the quick release, that's about the height. It's center. This screw is pretty tight. All right. Now I'll tighten it down. Yeah, now that's not going anywhere. So if it is a little loose, just tighten it up. It'll give you more pressure on there. And now it's nice and solid, and that's not going anywhere. So now before I put the reflectors on, we'll go ahead and put the pedals. Some people get this a little mixed up. We were all, for the most part, raised to understand and know that righty is tighty, lefty is loosey. Well, with pedals on bicycles, it's a little different. So righty is tighty, but lefty is not righty tighty. And you'll have your pedals will be marked right for right, left, L for left. So the R for right obviously goes on the right side. It's going to be righty tighty. And just make sure the threads, you're not, which would be really hard for you to mis-thread the threads on a pedal. But line it up, and then to the right you go. Should be able to finger tight the pedal right in there until it's nice and snug, and then we'll use our tool for it. But I like to just get it started using my fingers, getting the pedals tightened in there. L for left. Now on the L, that's where some people get it a little off. We get a lot of phone calls. Hey, the pedals are wrong. It doesn't fit. It's not working. I can't get the thread in. And really it's just because so many people are used to righty-tighty. But this you're going counterclockwise. So you're going to the left to tighten it. So just make sure that your threads are lined up. And then you're going to spin it to the left. And then as you see going counterclockwise, it'll thread right in. I can't tell you how many phone calls that the offices and our warranty department get. We got the wrong pedals. It's not working. It's not threading in. It's just a lot of people don't know that pedals, for the reason only when you're pedaling, you don't want your pedals to come loose. And so that's why it's done that way. So we'll go ahead and get our tool out again, which we have right here. And then to make sure that your pedals are nice and tight, we'll go ahead and go around with the 15 and make sure that's nice and snug so your pedals don't come off. And then on the right side, go ahead and make sure that's also nice and tight. Boom. So now your pedals are tight, front wheel's tight, stems on there nice and tight with your handlebars and your seat. So your bike is solid and it's ready to almost ride. Now just for safety reasons, some people may have your own aftermarket lights you want to put on there for liability reasons. Every bicycle that's sold, whether it's a really high-end road bike, gravel bike, you got to have reflectors. So we'll go ahead and show you how to put them on. Just for compliance reasons, you do have to have them. So you'll have your rear reflector, which we'll start with, and your front reflector. The rear reflector is the red, which most of you probably know. And then you got this little piece right here. And basically there's a little circle on the back of the reflector. And so this just slides up where that little notch is, just slides up like that over it. And then you just want to go nice and firm until you hear that snap. And then you're good to go with that. When you're putting the reflector on the seat tube, you want this facing up a little bit. This just is plastic, it just bends around the seat. So it goes right there around the seat tube. Pretty straightforward. Line it up. So it's right above your tire. So if you are using these reflectors, anybody that's behind you, it's got their lights on, they got a better chance of seeing you. The last thing you want is somebody texting or on their phone, not paying attention, and get rear-ended. We'll go ahead and dump these out so I can get the screws out of there. All right. Now this is the one tool that's not in the kit, which is your Phillips. So you want to just grab a Phillips, which most people have laying around their house. some people that don't have a lot of tools, almost everybody has at least a Phillips or a flathead somewhere in their house or junk drawer in their kitchen. Go ahead, and it's just a regular Phillips screw that you tighten in there for the reflector. So I'll go ahead and do it this way so you can see. And I'll hold it, get the threads in there going a little bit before then I'll turn it back around so it's that way. All right, it's nice and snug, not going anywhere. That's on. Now I'll just grab the front reflector, which is the clamp that's straight up and down, same type of way. Has the circle on there. You just slide it until you hear that little pop, little snap in place. Got one more Phillips screw. This one goes on your handlebars. I put it on the left side here. Just, again, plastic just bends around the bars. Make sure it's straight so anybody coming head on at you has a better chance of seeing you. And then again, take your Phillips, just tighten that down right there, hold it in place until it's nice and tight so you know it's not going anywhere. And you're good to go there. Now a lot of people for these little reflectors give you a hard time online. Nice reflectors on your bike, but you got to have them on there for safety and for liability reasons when we're shipping. But the aftermarket, if you do decide to buy a nice pair, there's so many lights and different tail lights out there to choose from, but that's completely up to you if you guys end up wanting to do it. For the reflectors on the rear, there's two little plastic pieces in there. They're pretty tiny. You want to just go ahead and you'll see on one side it's got a little notch in it, and this will go right in there once we get it onto the spoke. I always do it the opposite side from your valve stem. So where your valve stem is at, just go up basically to the spoke that is across from it. And the side that has the notch on it, you'll go ahead and you'll put your reflector right there, put the spoke through there. And this just has two little prongs on it. There's a little gap. And you'll go ahead and you'll just put that around the spoke. And you want to apply pressure once around it until you hear a little snap. That's it. That's nice and snug. It's not going anywhere. That's all you need. We'll go ahead and do the same thing for the front wheel. No longer need the Phillips. And I grab this other little plastic piece here. Same thing on the front wheel, opposite of the valve. And go ahead, bring that up like so. Take the little plastic piece with those two prongs, put it around the spoke to clips in place, and voila, we're fully assembled. Now, with everything being tight, we've got all our reflectors on. There's two more little pieces you may wonder that come in your pouch, and they're just two little black caps. They just go on the front of your Allen bolts for your handlebars to make it aesthetically a little bit more smooth, as well as keep any water or anything out of there, debris, anything, the dust and stuff. They have little dust caps. They just go in the top right there in your stem, and underneath here in the other Allen bolt to tighten your handlebars. You got those two black stems, and that's it. Everything that's in the box, the bike's 100% assembled. Now, before you get out and ride, always make sure at the factory we try to have at least enough air pressure in your tires to where it's ready to ride right out of the box. But always make sure that you got enough air pressure. You want to have 35 is the max PSI for these. You want to make sure with these, I find riding comfortably is about 27.5, 28. Maybe your riding style is a little bit different. Never go over 35 PSI, but maybe you want to have a little bit more pressure. Some people like riding with a little less pressure, so that's completely up to you. But all in all, put your kickstand up and you're ready to get out. It's an overall comfortable ride. This is my riding style. I like to sit back like this. It's comfortable. Everything's nice and secure, and so we're ready to get out and hit the streets. Thanks, guys. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us on the website or give us a call, and we'll be more than happy to answer any of your questions. And you can always also check us out at W.A.R Bikes on either of our social media platforms, Instagram or Facebook. Have a good one, guys.